112.
112. I'll just be difficult and pronounce it differently than you do, just for the sake of difficulty.
Still here, still without a couch.
Still without a couch. I wonder if we'll get a couch. It'll just be
it's Prime Day.
Today's Prime Day? Oh, maybe
yesterday and today
were
were Prime Day. Yeah.
Maybe we'll just order a cheap couch on Amazon and be done with it. I mean, how bad can it be?
Go back.
We only sit on it for 2 hours at most.
How convenient is it that today happens to be the day of the sales? It's almost as if it's divinely timed.
Divine timing for the couch.
Yeah.
I doubt we'll have a couch by next episode.
That sounds like a good topic. It's almost as if I didn't contrive that example at all.
Mm-hmm. Yes, divine timing. But like, I wanted to like open the divine timing to all kinds of things, not just like a lot of times when I heard divine timing, I was like, I don't know. What did you think when you heard divine timing?
I mean, it's divine timing to me is like the timing version of if manifestation is like a material thing or an event, like divine timing is like the timing version of that to me. When things just line up and just work out. Like there's a blurry line between, manifestation and divine timing. When we tried to refinance this house and I've told this example so many times, but it's the best example, and we got denied for a loan and we were just, we're so upset. And, and then it took us another year to get our ducks in a row. But when we did that year later, the interest rates were even better. And it allowed us to do some creative refinancing stuff that would have never happened had we got it the first time. That to me is divine timing.
Mm-hmm. To the point where sometimes it's just a no, but for the sake of something better.
Right. I'm trying to, who was it? Maybe I said this on the last podcast. I heard someone say that, I'm trying to remember the quote now. Like luck is just life getting out of the way, or getting out of the way of your own life, or something like that.
Yeah.
Because you are in your own way because of what you want and what you think and everything, and you think you know what you want and you think you know what's better.
You're right.
Oh, what's best for you, but it isn't necessarily. Sometimes it just all works out in ways better than you could have predicted.
Yeah. To begin with, I was thinking about on the drive back, I was thinking so many years of my life. And like, I think we were listening to a song by Chris Tenner. Is that his name is? Or Ryan Tenner? From One Republic?
Right. Yeah, Ryan Tenner.
Ryan Tenner?
Ryan Tedder.
Sure.
Ryan Tedder.
I think I'm compilating a whole bunch of people together into one. And so, obviously he writes an amazing music, but there's something that resonated that I was already thinking about. I'm like, oh, look, this is just this tendency in humans to always be wanting something or chasing something and not being happy. And at some point I thought, when I started the spiritual journey, right, not by choice, but just because it was like shoved onto me, right?
Yeah.
Because it was shoved on and it wasn't something that I actively went looking for. Do you know what I mean? It sent me onto like this looking quest.
You were a searcher.
Yeah, but like at the time, I would have thought, okay, there's nothing wrong with searching. There's nothing wrong with reaching here, reaching there, reaching there. But deep down, I think, and now I realize there was this density and tension and like lack, like searching out of lack.
Yes.
Do you see what I mean? Like I'm looking for something because the current situation is not what I want to be, which is the truth, right? Like that is a great place to realize the current situation is not how I want it to be, right? So maybe if we reference back our poopy metaphor, you're kind of at that little twirl of possibility, right? And then you're like, oh, this is not how I want things to be. I need to start doing something to change things, right?
Yeah.
And in my case, the change was not like, oh, Tanya's going to go change things. It was driven by.
Yeah.
And maybe I was thinking, maybe to some extent, everybody's hitting the bottom, yet you need some kind of driving factor at the bottom, right? In order, this is enough to have you motivated.
Yeah, it
right?
needs to be a hard enough bottom to kind of smack you in the face.
Yeah. And my hard enough bottom was like not even my bottom. Do you know what I mean? Like, and I think maybe because I would have been okay sacrificing myself, and that would have not been a bottom. Like I would have said, no, it's fine. I will sacrifice myself for this world or for whatever, right? But sacrificing the whole humanity was not an option. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
So like my hard bottom invention, for better or worse, was not me hitting a rock bottom. It was like, no, annihilation of humanity. This is not an option.
Was it the "Someday We'll Be All That We Need" song?
I think maybe. I don't remember. The one I recently added to the list.
Oh, it's like the new song?
Well, it's not a new song. I just recently added it to the list.
I don't remember the lyrics of that one. This was
but maybe already. But he kind of like all of his lyrics are the same thing. A lot of his
lyrics are yeah.
Like you can tell what he's struggling is he went out into the world looking for something, right?
Mm-hmm.
But that something was never discovered. Like so there's that pain that comes through in all of his lyrics, and he writes a lot of lyrics for other people.
Yeah,
and the reason why his songs are so good is because they're written from the bottom of that heart, where he's honest. He's honest about how he's feeling, right? And so the lyrics, are powerful and moving because of that.
Yeah,
but that is the tendency in all humans, is we go out searching, right?
Yeah, seekers. That's what they're called.
Humans?
No, people on a spiritual path. A lot of them are called seekers if they're out looking for something.
Oh, do you think all humans are seekers?
Yeah. But this kind of goes to the idea that the problem that everybody has is that reality doesn't match what they want reality to be. That's kind of like the simplest, most generic terms. And whether that's I'm sick and I don't want to be, or I'm alone and I don't want to be, or my car is a piece of junk and I want a Ferrari, or I don't want to eat this, I want to eat any problem can almost be boiled down to reality does not match my desire for reality, which of course implies that you have a desire to begin with, which is back to the Buddhist, that desire is the root of all suffering. Because if you're okay with reality, how it is, and then there's no need to change it. And then everything's fine, in a sense.
Yeah. Yeah. But to begin with, I think, and with me, I think this is what it comes down to. And if anyone has similar dispositions to me, I think, they'll be able to relate. But me knowing that something is not going to turn out well, or fearing, it's not that, it's fearing, functioning out of unsafety and fearing that, my gosh, I had a cayenne pepper in my throat, fearing that something is not going to turn out well. With me, there's never such thing as inaction, right? Like I have to go and act. Like the acting soothes the inflamed
it does.
Pain.
The control, or really illusion of control, really helps us humans feel better about the things that we may or may not actually have control over.
Yeah.
Right? Whether that's, I don't have any money, so I play the lottery, and that gives me a sense of control over, I'm doing something about my financial situation, or you are actually working towards something. Yeah, we we love to control things. We love to,
Well, control is there to soothe the unsafety that is being triggered.
right?
But because we never pause to recognize that deep down, this action, my action, is actually driven by unsafety, and in my case, by annihilation of humanity, then, that drive, the size of the problem, such as annihilation of humanity, is so big, the amount of time that I'm supposed to spend seeking the solution has to equate to the size of the problem.
Right. It's a big problem. Really gotta put some thought into that.
Right? Like, so to some extent, it's almost interesting that the invention and the size of the problem ends up being equivalent to amount of inertia
Right.
you put into resolving. But that amount of inertia you put into resolving, that in the long run has to be recognized and offset with the opposite energy of going into the depth that causes that inertia to be there, which is the amount of unsafety.
Right.
So what I'm trying to say here is there's proportionality to amount of unsafety, the amount of action, and the amount of inaction / action you have to do to address the core issue or the shadow or the trapped density, however you want to call it. It's all the same thing of this unsafety.
Yeah.
And so this loop is, if you're not recognizing the loop in which you function in, it is very difficult not to do or seek or, and I want to clarify, doing and seeking out of the space of open heart feels completely different than doing and seeking out of fear.
Right. I was gonna end up there, that like, this doesn't mean you can't do. This doesn't mean you can't make things, do things, cause actions to cause change in the world, go, whatever it is. This is not, you are not allowed to do those things. This is not, doing things is inherently right, wrong, good or bad. It all comes down to, why are you doing it? What is driving the doing?
Mm-hmm.
And, you can, okay, you're going to give money to a charity. You can give money to charity so that people will see you give money to a charity. So then it's like, okay, well, now people will view me a certain way, right? You're in a sense buying the type of attention that you want. And you're getting maybe respect from other people, but really it's making you feel better about yourself. So you can do it for that, which I would say is you're doing maybe the right thing for the wrong reason, or you can do it just, and it's tricky because these right reasons are you have to be really careful with with the right reason.
Yeah, I wanted to go into the examples where you're seeking you're already aware that you're seeking something that is deeper than just artificial action, right?
Okay.
Like, you're seeking yourself and you recognize that you're seeking yourself. But because yourself is still stuck in unsafety, you're still seeking out of lack. And I think that is where the divine timing becomes more clear. Like when you can look back at, right, once somebody decides to start to turn around and they're still not blindly swimming, with the stream, and they're starting going against the stream, against themselves, against their beliefs, against their structures, there's still this tenacity there to get somewhere where peace can be reached.
Right. Which can be useful.
Yeah. And I want to say, with me, what I'm noticing is the tenacity causes me to look, to seek, to not be satisfied with the status quo, because the status quo, my smaller self, let's say, gets triggered and gets awry and gets distracted, right? And so there's this portion of me that is almost like a beacon that it goes, okay, well, I want to be at peace. Let me find various ways, right? And so you can be seeking from, how do I find peace? Let me follow this teaching. Let me find that teaching. Let me find this way to be, right? There something has to come and click, right?
Yeah.
But I want to say that with me, the tenacity to look came both, maybe I should reword it this way. I was actually trying to have the divine timing be controlled. I wanted the timing to be divine, but at the same time, I wanted to be divine on my terms. And there was this convolution and confusion.
It's divine, but I'm setting the clock.
Yeah. And so I think what it comes down to is the inability of me to surrender into the current moment and allow the world to bring the timing, as opposed to me being afraid and not wanting the natural flow of the universe to be.
Right.
Because in the past, natural flow, ... generally equates to fear of the unknown, which equates to unsafety.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's really, it's sad that it's like human nature to just almost, not just fear the worst, but like expect the worst. And so we're just always on this lookout for how things can go wrong. And we just want to control everything to make it go what we think is the right way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's interesting because the more time I spent pausing and realizing, kind of like in retrospect, out of which space all action was taking place, the more exhaustion I see and how exhausting it was, and always trying to be somewhere or do something or not do something or not experience something. Do you know what I mean?
No, I mean, lately it's, I'll notice myself wanting to do something or change something. And I'm just like, what if I don't? What if I pinpoint what it is that's irking me, and just be okay with that. And, in doing that, it's like, it really makes you present. It really forces you to be in the now.
Well, because you usually, if you're going to go change something, that means you are being triggered.
You're being triggered, and the trigger usually has roots in the past, and you want to solve it so that your future is better. So you're not here and now at all.
Yeah.
You're in the past and in the future, but you're not here and now.
Yeah.
But if you're like, well, this is, yes, this reality does not match my desired reality, but let's just be okay with that. Even if that's just be okay with that for a while. I could always fix it later, whatever it is.
Well, be present with the discomfort in the now.
Right. And it brings this interesting clarity around, like, it's okay. It's okay to be uncomfortable. Because I think in the especially in the Western world, where so many of our, like, all of our basic needs are just, taken care of with, and we have all these comforts that anytime we're even slightly
with that 5G
annoyed, my phone doesn't, it's on LTE, like an animal, it's horrible. Or the air conditioning is half a degree off from whatever perfect is. It's just the most ridiculous stuff that people 100, 1,000 years would have. We live in comfort beyond their wildest dreams, and we can find the most trivial things to complain about and to ruin our day. When just be with it.
Yeah, no, but I'm saying, that is the end goal. But I'm saying is, I'm analyzing how hard it is to be, right?
It can be.
It is hard.
It really can be. I
don't know if you saw the Instagram reel I sent you with Gabor Mate's interview with, I don't know, some dude. But and I don't know if you should put it in, but I will paraphrase it, I guess, here. The guy says, so, I'm working with trauma, and I'm working with trying to be present in the moment and recognize my childhood trauma and recognize that, I'm paraphrasing it in my terms, recognize the shadow and the density, right, that is causing me distress, right?
Yeah.
But I'm trying to be present with it and aware of it. And his questions to Gabriel was, will it ever go away?
I heard it on your phone.
Okay. Yeah. Maybe that's why I didn't send it, because you were sitting there. And he just, Gabriel is just such a genius. She just, my gosh, we should just put him on a pedestal and have him speak to the world. But he's like, okay, so let's do this exercise. And he takes him through this exercise and he goes, okay, go into that discomfort. He's like, go into the feeling that you're feeling right now. And the guy, goes in, whatever, basically just kind of closes his eyes and allows his body, he reads his body and allows himself to feel what is that he feels, right? And he's like, okay, well, so I feel tension in my chest, right? Like I feel there's tension in my chest. And he's like, okay, so let's go there. Like what is that tension saying? What is the space telling you to do? Or what's there, right? And then so he pauses and he's like, yeah, I think it just wants to be acknowledged, right? It just wants to be acknowledged, and I guess I don't remember if he says it right away, but giving attention to. And he's like, okay, and so then what? Once you give it attention, then what? And I don't remember how this came about, but basically Gabriel then goes, so it wants to be heard, it wants to be acknowledged and seen, because obviously his theory is because it is a 4-year-old you who feels discomfort, because this energy is trapped not from the moment of now, because the amount of just tension that he was feeling talking to Gabriel was not that moment. It was something else, right?
Mm-hmm.
It was something projected out of the past onto that present moment.
Right.
And he's like, and so what does the 4-year-old, and then he goes, it just wants to be seen. It just wants to be acknowledged that there's this, right? And so what I found it interesting is he's completely bypassing any line from the present moment into how it registers into the child trauma. He automatically goes, density in the body equates to child. What does the child want? And he cuts through that filter. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I guess. And so then you're sitting, and in this case, he was experiencing his child wanting attention, because the tension, this tension in the chest was coming from way back when it was conceived or received or not processed.
Right.
Right. But that's the way of staying aware and present to the deeper version of ourselves.
We'll finish that thing, because he said, will it ever go away?
Yeah, to begin with, that's right. That's right. Yeah, because the question, and so Gabriel then basically points out that look what you're doing by asking the question, will it ever go away? You're trying to get rid of it.
The thing which already just wants to be seen, you're trying to see it less.
Yeah, what your child wants is for you to give it attention. But if I reword that, what your wounds, what your past wants, what was the stuck energy of your past ones, right? The stuck density that, we referred to as poopy in the last podcast. What it wants is to be released and acknowledged, because it's quite literally stuck energy, right?
Yeah.
The reason why we're sick is because we have stuck energy. So if you don't want to look at it as childhood trauma processing, it is simply stuck energy. That because when it happened, we did not have the context to process, to actualize, to understand, because we were children. Now, we need to allow it to flow, but you have to go back into the density. And so Gabriel's theory is allow it to be without definition, because your child conceived it without definitions.
Yeah.
And I guess my take on that is recognize how the current tension is actually just an echo, a projection of the current circumstances that very much feel real in the now, right? Whatever tension he was feeling is probably about something in the current situation that he was projecting the past into the future.
Right.
And so he said, yeah, because we choose not to acknowledge, and our general sentiment is, will it ever go away?
Right.
We're literally turning around and going, la, 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 la. That thing that is me, that is trapped energy, that is what my subconscious actually runs as my truth. I don't want to acknowledge that.
Right. Because it's scary. It hurts.
Well,
who knows what's there?
Yeah. But in the meantime, the only thing that you're doing when you're seeking, when you realize, hey, I'm going to go seeking, your seeking is the desire to unravel that trapping, that density. That is, to summarize the whole point of human existence, that is why you are here as a human.
Right.
Is to unravel this density that you have come to take on as your game. And to unravel it, you have to acknowledge that it's there.
Right.
And so it will just be tapping. So when you go seeking to find self, what you're actually doing is you're, for some reason, for the first time, based on the divine timing, now have a desire to undo self-deceit and self-ignorance and self-lies, where you pretend like this tapping, this seeking, where you are your truth, where your child is acknowledged and happy and flowing, is for the first time being seen. But it will just keep on tapping. Like, unfortunately, right, that it will keep on tapping because that is simply your purpose on earth, is to recognize this tapping, turn yourself around and go, oh, okay, let's go into this uncomfortable space that I have been refusing to acknowledge for 40 years of my life.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's it. That's, if anybody wants the secret to this, it's be more aware of when you're triggered and why you're triggered, and explore that and be okay with that.
Yeah.
That's there you go. That's the.
But I want, it's like going back to seeking, right? The initial tensity that I felt that caused me to seek was simply the recognition of the tension that I felt, not acknowledging why I behave the way I do, right? But that not acknowledgement in my behavior was simply, oh, you behave this way because you feel unsafe, right?
Yeah. I mean,
and you have to unravel your behavior, which is really difficult. Like, right, think about this. In my case, I have spent, 40 something years, or I guess when I got slapped in the face, 40 years is a good number. 40 years behaving a certain way. And now you're like, wait, after 40 years, I have to change how I behave, that is not somebody telling you how you have to do. This is you telling yourself. Your higher self is telling your lower self, guess what? Now this doesn't work for us anymore. We're going to have to rethink this, right? This is, kind of like setting the bridge on fire and crossing it type of a situation. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? And then that's super scary. Change, not because someone's making you do it, but because you are willing to hold yourself responsible, is scary because you don't know where you're going.
Right.
And the truth is, it's not even that you don't know where you're going. The truth is, you're going to go into yourself. And for the last 40 years, you have found yourself to be scary.
Yes. You've trained yourself over a lifetime to do the opposite of this. And now doing this is scary. It's new, it's scary. I don't know what I'm going to find, but I'm probably not going to like it.
Yeah. What you have been singing the song is, la, 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 don't look back. Don't look, just move forward. Safety forward. How do we
just keep swimming? Just keep swimming.
Yeah. Right. But, in Dory's case, that is a positive thing. Like, if you're scared, put one leg in front of the other.
Yeah.
But in this case, you're swimming against the current.
Yeah. This is
that you have been hiding from yourself.
Just keep not looking. Conceal, don't feel. Trying to make a Disney reference here.
Yeah. But what I want to say is there's so much beauty in facing your own shadow or your own fear. The fear is not actually true. Like, what you're afraid of is actually not the truth. The truth is beautiful. But what you're afraid of is the fact that you've been hiding yourself from something. And only now you would say, oh, that something is my truth. But deep down, we're afraid of what finding a truth will change about our current circumstance. And because we are afraid of change, because change is unknown, right? And we have been trying to mitigate change in some way or the other, right? We're just simply unwilling to look back, right? But which is strange, right? Like, it's such a strange concept because one, there's no such thing as the past or the future. But because we're in a three-dimensional space, we believe that there's this past. We believe that there's all the stuff that is the identity of us. And we behave out of that identity, right? We behave out of this circumstance that we believe is true. And so the earthly experience is so unique and so believable.
Right.
It's so believable that we have to design all of this foofla to unravel something that doesn't even exist, which is time and space.
I mean, I say this as someone who has done this for the vast majority of my life, but we just constantly throw away the now for either regretting the past or worrying about the future or trying to craft something in the future. And that's not to say that you can't have goals or you can't work towards something, but when it's done out of this like self-delusional lying to yourself thing, then it really feels like a waste. It's like, wow, and here I am saying this, which sounds like I'm wallowing in regret, despite saying don't wallow in regret. But it's like, wow, that is a lot of time where I could have been more present. So the lesson is, well, can't do anything about that. At least be present now.
Yeah, but to some extent, right? Like our generation, so we're in our 40s, right? Came here to have like a 2.0 Earth experience. You spent X number of your years chugging forward in blindness, creating nonsense and building trauma and trying to be in the la la land, pretending everything's okay. Then reaching the point of a turn and, 40 years under the modern calendar time is when most people turn and then chug their way back, right?
Right. And that's a Saturn at opposition thing. Okay. Not like solar opposition, but like opposite from your birth.
Yeah. Position. And so that has been the path is you chug forward for 40 years, have an opportunity to rethink and turn at 40. There's many other opportunities. And then start unraveling, right? And so even though that is the journey of us, I don't think that's the journey of how it will be for most people, right? Yeah, and so that's the path. I don't think that is the path of the younger generation, like our children. Like
I think they can skip that first mumbo jumbo.
Yeah,
largely.
Yeah, and so
or at least it doesn't. Maybe it won't take 40 years. Maybe it'll take 20 or 15 or 10.
No, I'm judging our kids, and I'm judging
some of the other kids their age that we know.
Yeah, like they're friends, right?
Yeah.
And the amount of awareness they do have is much more than the amount of awareness I had.
Me too.
In my 20s.
Yeah.
But at the same time, in your 20s is the pivotal moment of what you do with that awareness. You can choose a path where you chug on to our path is like, okay, no awareness, blindly 40 years forward, and then eventually smack in the face in my case, and then, okay, let's start unraveling this nonsense.
Yeah.
But the younger generation can still choose that path, right? There's no limitations in free will.
The funny thing is, like at some level, my whole life, I knew that I'm, I'm avoiding
Conversations.
conversations with other people, conversations with myself, issues. I'm like, yeah, I know that, alcohol is my go-to to make myself feel better. I know that, my job is doesn't jibe with me in many different ways. I know these things at some level because I can think back and I'm like, oh yeah, I didn't feel great about all these things, right? And yet,
Yeah. Was because we get used to feeling the trigger of density, right? So I think what happens when we don't feel great, it's just like that guy on the little short that I referenced with Gabber. He right, and I'm trying to think. He was probably in his late 20s, maybe, if I had to guess, right?
I don't think I saw him.
Huh?
I don't think I saw him. I just heard him.
late 20s, but a lot of people in their 20s. Aiden made this statement, and I think this is very interesting. He's graduated high school and now he's entering college, and you and I have a very free lifestyle. I'll just use that word, to where we designate time to what's important to us more so than being part of the rat race, right? We sacrifice income and status, right? There's no such thing to us as the need for income to be high, the need for status to be high. Like, we don't have any what the social norms are that causes us to be in the rat race.
There's no, I'm vice president of whatever.
Yeah, we have no value
associated with that
on the social standards.
Yeah,
in general. So to us, value is on time doing this.
Yeah,
like actually pausing, having time to meditate. In my case, time to do yoga, time to discuss deeper versions of what I'm feeling, the time to cacao, time to relax, time to rest.
Yeah.
That is the biggest value.
Yeah.
And so he's in the transitory phase right now, right? Where he's going from high school to college, where the phase is you're busier. There's a goal in mind, right?
And you're responsible.
There's more responsibility, right?
Yeah. You have to manage your time and organize your stuff and dedicate time to being somewhere to do work or whatever.
Yeah, right. And then in high school, even though he had a really good high school, he's so smart that they design it to where you don't have to.
High school does the structuring for you. In college, it's like, here you go. You have to be at this class here and then and whatever, but all the other structuring is up to you to figure out.
Yeah, you're kind of like step 101 into adulthood.
Maybe that's stay at college and do your homework. Maybe that's come home and do your homework. Maybe it's some combination. Maybe it's go to a coffee shop. I used to do that. Doesn't matter what it is, but figure out what works for you.
Yeah.
That's your job as a freshman in college.
Yeah. Or maybe all throughout college is finding out how to solve problems on your own.
Yeah.
Time manage, things like that. Just kind of like what the societal loop has you do as well-rounded adult.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Being able to interact with people to help you solve problems if you can't figure it out. If you need more information or need help or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, right. Like, I'm like, why would you not go to college? Unless you're getting that from somewhere. So the path that he's on basically now sets him into, how do I walk this path? I'm not saying that I'm analyzing like the nuance of it. I'm saying is, how do you handle the awareness of why you do things the way you do, right? And he's right there at the pivotal point where if you're driven by the need for perfection or the need for attention or the need for status, right? Then you will be behaving out of active, unprocessed pain body that causes you to behave like, oh, I need to be the best at blah. Therefore, I'm going to sign up for this team and I'm going to try to be this good and blah, 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 blah. But meantime, that is just an influx being stimulated because it's density not being processed. And you're doing everything into your adult life, including starting it from college on up, from that blindness.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or you can pause and you can go, okay, I'm starting to feel the pressures of the world, which is honestly just your pain body being triggered for the first time for reals as an adult.
Yeah.
And then you can go, what is actually being triggered while I am being overwhelmed with homework? Or while I don't feel like I'm being good enough? Or while I am chasing some sort of label at work based on, the status quo of my vice presidency or presidency or CEO-ishness or whatever, right? But that's a lot, right? A lot of people, or I'm chasing the money. Oh, once I have this much money, I will be happy. Or once I have this house, I will be happy. And that chase is never actually about the money or the status or the house or the.
Yeah. Well, we've said that a million times too.
Yeah,
because you'll never be happy with. There's never enough.
Yeah, it is all yourself tapping at you. The seeking, that is still the seeking. It's your higher self wanting you to be tapped in and go, hey, let's look at the deeper version of this thing. And so to bring back, the divine timing has multiple arcs, right? We talked about this before, where you can pause and go, wait, what am I going to go and seeking in my life? Right? What am I going to go becoming aware about in my life?
It's kind of like, what do you value in your life? Right?
Well,
do I value the title and the money and the car and the whatever, or do I value, exploring myself? Do I value, maybe it's finding peace. Maybe it's, I guess everybody wants peace, and some people think that money will bring them peace, or the job title will bring them peace.
Well, the seeking in the long run is just you being at peace, right? The opportunities you have not to go out into the world with blindness, right? Like in an Aiden sense, right? Mm-hmm. And to become aware of the behavior that drives you into a specific action. And if that behavior is like an open heart format behavior, or if it's coming from the density. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so that seeking is always there as an opportunity, obviously. But as an overall, I think the arc in the younger generations, younger than us, has that built in all the time. And I'm not saying you and I did not have that opportunity, but the imperative behind awakening is so much stronger on Earth right now, that everybody's primed for constantly being able to turn around towards self. And that is kind of what I mean behind divine timing. It is not manifesting something, and it's not something happening in the right way, like on the superficial level. I'm saying this is you taking each step for yourself and almost having like divine grace helping you along the way to give you just enough to where you can handle it and you're not going to drown in your poopy. But at the same time, you feel a little bit of more of yourself opening up to where there's a light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Because to begin with, when you start swimming into your shadow and it gets so overwhelming, it feels more painful than swimming away from your shadow.
Yeah. The that house loan example, that I gave, we didn't, there was no surrender into it. We were forced into it. Luckily, because that worked out well, but it was like we were forced into that kicking and screaming, because it was like, oh no, we really got to get this first loan. There was no surrender, so there was grace.
But all of the time we are in complete. This is before like us being spiritually even aware of like divine timing,
right?
Like we were aware, but we were aware of divine timing over here. But over here, where money and house refinancing is a different world.
Yeah,
and they did not cross over. Like you did not see that this drives this.
We had it bucketed out and divided out. But
to begin with, a lot of
compartmentalized.
Yeah. To begin with, a lot of people do.
When in reality, it's like, oh, this is the universal constant here. This applies to everything and everyone, everywhere and every time.
But your trapped energy of unsafety
Yes.
applies quite literally, is the driving beacon
Yeah.
of all events in your life.
Right.
Right. It took us a long time to figure that out. Right. To begin with, you almost don't, like, I think it's almost like a shortcut to self when you realize, oh no, quite literally, everything that flows out of you comes out of the trappings of unsafety. And so by default, nothing in your life exists because of this unawareness, right? And then everything good and bad flows out of this unsafety.
Yeah.
It is, to some extent, you're like, oh, if I heard this 5 years ago, I would have been like, oh my gosh, like it would have been overwhelming. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I do.
You don't realize, like, wait, what? But at the same time, I think right now I would have thought it would be very empowering to realize that, one, this is my universe and my destiny, and I am in charge of this flow. And so I'm not a subject to, winds of the world and these unattached events where I'm just a victim. In fact, I am responsible. But maybe that's what it is having the realization of that much responsibility can be scary.
Right. You have to do you have to believe that responsibility is actually there, like for your own good. There's responsibility is something to be, that is a good thing instead of a positive instead of a negative.
Yeah.
Because I've always looked at the responsibility as more of a negative than a positive throughout my life. And, I'm shifting that now, but there's still, like just this base level default reaction where it is kind of like, but that's the practice. If there, in as much as there is a practice, the practice is to notice these reactions, go, wait a minute, is that really what I want to do? Is that really what I want to think or believe or behave? And to catch it, you catch the, deep down, I'm afraid of whatever this happens to be, of however ridiculous this projects into the future. Oh my gosh, we're going to lose the house because we can't get a refinance, whatever it is, right? I'm afraid. It always comes down to that. And just the task is, in what way does this current event make you feel afraid or make your child self feel afraid?
Yeah. Yeah. And the current event is nebulously connected to the child being afraid.
Right.
And the child being afraid is super nebulous because anything and everything is afraid to the child.
Right. But it's this ever-present feeling, whether or not you're aware of it. There's always this unsafety. There's always this, I'm afraid. There's always something that could go wrong or might go wrong or will go wrong or at some point in the future. It is very nebulous.
Yeah. I mean, I grew up with that almost being verbalized, though. Like in Ukraine,
yours was very much a physical unsafety.
Unsafety, and it's also verbalized. Like, right. But it's interesting. It was verbalized, but almost at the same time, it addressed the present moment, but it didn't address the core. Do you know what I mean? Like we said, like, oh, I don't know if this was ever said, but let's say this is my imaginary world. Like, oh, we might not have potatoes over the winter to survive the winter. I'm not like, that is what I thought. I don't know if it was actually the case, but let's say, right, not enough food to survive the winter, right? And however things were worded around the household or whatever perception was, I remember my grandma having a lot of energy behind making sure that the cellar had enough stuff there by the end of the fall to survive into come springtime, right? Before the radishes be planted, because because that was the first line of survival into the spring was the planting of
If you can
radishes.
get radishes in the ground, you're gonna make it.
Yeah, yeah, and radish is like a two week ish turnaround from the seed to food.
Yeah, you can go 2 weeks without eating if you had to.
Yeah, but no, I just remembered the anxiety that I felt about having the cellar stocked with X number of whatever. And I don't know how she even calculated how much potatoes and onions and, whatever else we needed, right? But like the canning was important. Like, oh, we have to can. So the cellar stocked with canning. And then we have to make juice preserve. So we have do you know what I mean? Like there was like, I watched it. This is so funny because
It's almost a ritual at that point.
a ritual into scarcity,
Yeah.
into preparation for the winter.
And that doesn't mean that you don't have to do that. You might very well have to do that in order to survive. It may be true.
But like to me, what's interesting is now looking back and obviously having lived in the United States for such a long time to where this is not how people in the United States live. It's such a primitive and simple way to live. Like, because your entire world revolves around a cycle of harvest, right? Like I would say, like caveman style.
Yeah, maybe not hunter gatherers, but as soon as agriculture
pipes
was
in,
developed, it's
this was the cycle. The cycle
now
is
we overproduce during the good times so that we can save for the hard times. That cycle.
Yeah,
that's how it has been for I don't know, tens of thousands of years at least.
Yeah, and to some extent, there was, obviously this is 1980s and 1990s, so the modern world does exist, but our world is very much revolved around, like at least the stress level of preparation was revolved around the cyclical nature of harvest.
Right.
And that is like, to some extent, if you were not stressed about it, like my grandma was, and you were more nonchalant about it, because there's not that many things that can go wrong with harvesting of potatoes to where you don't have potatoes. Do you know what I mean? Like
you have the Irish potato famine.
Yeah, but for the most part, what I'm saying is, it is a natural way to live with the cycle of earth and cycle of harvest. If you can take out the unsafety revolving around potatoes.
That's the thing. It isn't harvesting the potatoes, saving the potatoes, planting the potatoes is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. In fact, that might be it probably is the right thing to do in order to survive and feed the family, right? But it's that energy that goes into it. It's oh my God, we got to do it or else we're going to die energy versus this is how we live.
Yeah.
Energy. It's we have to work in order to make money, in order to pay the mortgage and all that stuff. And it's like, oh my God, we got to do it or we're going to lose the house. Or is it, this is just how we live. You can approach it from this place of scarcity and franticness and anxiety, and it's got to be done. And oh my gosh, I sure hope I don't get fired. And oh my gosh, I hope I can get refinanced. And oh my gosh, I hope there's enough potatoes. Or it can be just like, this is what we do. And if something were to happen, we will deal with it then. If I get fired, I'll go find another job. If we don't get a mortgage, we'll figure that out. If we don't have enough potatoes, we'll figure it out. Maybe we ask the neighbors for potatoes. Maybe we switch to onions. Maybe, I don't know, but we'll figure it. It's this idea that nothing's really the end of the world.
Well, but everything comes out of unsafety.
Right. So
the end of the world feeling is the unsafety that has nothing to do with this year of potatoes or this year of radishes, but it has to do with the childhood trauma of how important it was to feel safe.
Right. It's really interesting to notice the way that things do and don't trigger unsafety.
In a net comparison to yourself or in net comparison to other people?
All of the above. Like we just went on a little road trip and got a cracked windshield, front windshield, right? And in the state of Kentucky, that is just paid for by insurance, covers that, period, without any increase in premium by law. So it's like not a big deal, right?
Mm-hmm.
At the real physical level, okay, it's just there's some logistics around getting it replaced and the insurance claim and whatever that I don't know, but I'll figure it out. And it was not a big deal. Whereas if this had happened a few years ago, I think I would have had a big influx to it. Is it a little annoying to be driving with the crack right in front of your eyes? Sure.
It's difficult to drive with it.
It's a little difficult. The trees and the sun like glare off of it in a very distracting way. Does reality match my desired reality? No. But I don't have to. There's that energy of
unsafety.
It is not, the energy of unsafety was largely missing from that scenario.
Yeah, and I noticed myself cycling in and out. When I first saw it, I'm like, oh my gosh, right? And I'm like, oh look, I'm going into like because it's a trigger. The second you get triggered into a scenario that is the product of the current perceived reality, right? That energy of tension comes on board. And if you don't pause to go, wait, did something in my body just tense up all of a sudden, right? Like going back to the Gabor Mate, the little Instagram post. If you don't notice the change in the quality of your, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like with me, I'm relaxed enough all the time to where now almost any tension coming in is visible. Like I say visible, energetically felt. But in the past, if my entire body's tense, anything new coming in, it's just another brick on top of another brick on top of another brick, right? There's no feeling. Like there's so much numbness.
Going from 100% anxious to 105% anxious, you can't really tell.
Yes.
But going from, I'm not saying I'm at 0, but 5 to 10, yeah, you notice it.
Yeah. And so I noticed, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is a huge influx. And this is, right, I could go logical about it. And to some extent I do. I'm like, oh, look, I'm triggered about all the unknowns. So the only logic that I put into it was like, this thing is scary because it carries the unknowns of how it will be solved.
Mm-hmm.
And that is the tension. So the child is afraid about the unknown outcome of this broken windshield. And as long as I give it attention, like, oh, I'm just triggered because this feels unsafe. I sit there and I give it truth. I allow it to be truth, just like in that skit, right? Like you give it attention to allow yourself to recognize that once again, you're triggered because you feel unsafe. And it just kind of washes away. And so what's interesting, I noticed myself, it would just wash away and it would not be a thing. And I would leave. And then I would get back into the car and it will restart again. And I had to do that over and over and over each time I got into the car. And, in this case, because we're on the trip, we would get in, drive to get food, then get in the car, then drive, let's say, to a store or even the next day to drive food. So ins and out of the car were a lot.
Right. And it's getting an inch longer every time.
Oh yeah, it's growing each time. And so each time I get in, I would then get triggered because, oh my gosh, how much will it grow? And which direction is it going to grow? Because that matters, which direction this crack is going to grow. And then at the same time, I'm triggered of like, wait, did I manifest this? And I think to some extent I did, but maybe in the positive way. One, obviously, to give myself an opportunity to see how much trigger I would have about the unknowns of this windshield situation. And then two, our windshield was actually already damaged from the manufacturer. And we never got it fixed. And we were supposed to wait like at least a year while the batches got cycled out in hopes that the manufacturer itself, who manufactures the windshields, would fix this issue that all windshields had. And so potentially it could be a solution for that, which is a positive thing, right?
To me, I noticed that the thing that triggered me was I'm like, okay, well, this is something that I'm going to have to deal with. So there's this responsibility. in it. And I'm like, I know that if I go and I research it, and I go and I research, okay, make sure that, we can choose who we want to replace it, and there's no cost. And I know that if I have all the answers, that will calm me down. So I purposely did not go do that.
But that's the trigger is to go and get all the answers as soon as possible in order not to feel what you feel.
Right. So I purposely did not do that until today, when today's the day I'm going to make the calls and schedule everything. So I'm not going to do any of that. And I'm just going to be okay with it. Feel it.
Yeah.
That was my strategy on it. Because I know if I do all this research, I won't be bothered by it. And it's not that I was overly bothered, but I was aware that there was a little discomfort about
not knowing.
I'm going to have to deal with this.
Yeah.
So future Elliot has a commitment now.
It's interesting. Like, it's so funny because in the past, when we first got married, I was dealing with everything. But it made me feel good because I wanted action, because action made me feel safe. And so out of the blindness of unsafety, doing any kind of action made me feel numb the numbness, right?
Yeah.
And now I step back, and then I guess, I don't know why, I guess the roles kind of shifted to where now you take care of everything.
Right. Well,
out of choice or out of desire to push yourself through the responsibility?
Desire to push myself into responsibility. Because part of it's it's like a muscle. The more I do it, the easier it gets and the better I get at it. And part of it's just if I can, be in that place of discomfort more than,
Yeah.
The goal is
But your discomfort is responsibility.
Responsibility. And, I don't like having future checks against my time. Which is another way of I guess that's responsibility. It's like a day or two ago, it's like at some point on Wednesday, I'm going to have to make a bunch of phone calls and research whatever and do whatever. And I'm like, I just don't like that. That's time and freedom being taken away from me. Is how I would
freedom being taken away from you.
Would have looked at that. Time and freedom, both, which are somewhat interchangeable.
But this goes back to your
which is unsafe, because now I'm not the master of my own, life. Now there's someone else, something. The universe has made me has committed me to some time, which is the most ridiculous thing to even say out loud, but that's my truth.
What's the trigger though? This is the second time you brought up the 9/11 thing, right? On the previous podcast, when you talked about what was the car going to give you, the choice in the car was going to give you, and it was freedom, right? Right. You're going to buy this car as opposed to having a tempo, right? And it was freedom, and the car driving fast is freedom, and this is the same thing. This is bringing back something trapped regarding time and freedom.
Right. I mean, time has always been I've always viewed time as more important than money.
Yeah,
and I understand that,
but there's a scarcity there because time is scarce.
Because time is scarce. Because
why is time scarce?
Because I'd always looked at it as we only get so many seconds on Earth, whereas money comes, money goes, but time only goes. Was kind of like.
When you say that, do you feel a tension to even verbalizing that? Time only goes, and we only get so many seconds on Earth.
Not really anymore. But it's so ingrained that the idea that there is this future commitment, as trivial as this is, 10, 15 minutes of, now I forget how ridiculous the whole phone call situation was, but 15 minutes of phone calls. Why would that even bother somebody? But it does, right? That's the thing.
Still,
nowhere near what it used to be, but I know that it's still like, it's not like poking an open wound, but it's like just grazing against a scar. And it's like, oh yeah, there's still something there. at some level.
Not addressed?
I don't know. I mean, maybe it's one of those, maybe it's just a trigger that will always be there to some degree. I don't know if it'll ever go away, but it's...
I guess just like going through the practice of it, the attention that it wants would be acknowledgement of what, right? Like if you apply that theory, like it wants attention because there's a trapping, and it wants attention in regards to what?
I mean, I guess there is still a feeling of like the scarcity of time. Yeah.
But there's like a now. And a now, and a
I
now.
know. I like literally opened the podcast talking about that. I understand.
But which is scarcity of time to do what?
See, and that's nebulous. It's to do whatever I want instead of...
But that means you're doing something you don't want.
That means I'm doing something. Yes. When I say some future commitment that I don't want to do.
Because?
Because that's not how I want to spend my time. I would rather do anything or even nothing than do,
Well, because that you feel not free.
Yeah,
But then
it is a freedom thing. It's like I'm being forced to do this. Now, I mean, you could do it. I understand all that, but it is like whether it's from a boss telling me or whether it's from, well, we got to get the window fixed.
So you've been forced to do that so therefore,
I feel out of, it's a control thing. I'm out of control. I don't have control over the situation. I don't have control over what I'm doing and when I'm doing. Now, something else is now controlling me, and that feels unsafe. Feels unsafe to have someone or something else making me do stuff.
And so
especially stuff at certain times.
So then if you go back to the childhood, where is the representation of that?
Yeah, I had to do stuff that I didn't want to do very frequently.
Like chores?
Nah, I mean, some chores. I mean, going to church was the example that came to mind.
Oh, yeah?
More so than even going to school, although school took a lot more of that time.
You felt like going to church was like you not being free.
Yeah, very much so. I have to go. So this block of time was not my time. I was forced upon me. So I was not free. Freedom and time are really closely connected in my mind.
When you say going to church, do you feel density there?
Yeah, I think so.
Do you apply the density blame to the church, or do you apply density blame to your parents?
More to my parents. It isn't. It happened to be church, but if we had gone out to anything else that I wasn't a fan of, I don't think that would have changed it.
Yeah, but you went to church a lot.
We went to church a lot. Yeah, but if it was, I don't know, going out to the, I'm trying to think what I wouldn't have liked. Anything else, going out to, we don't have a farm, but going out to the farm or to whatever I don't like, that would have been equivalent. It would have been X hours of my life every week are being taken away from me in something that I really don't want to do. And school was a mixed bag. I mostly enjoyed school, but I didn't resent going in the same way that I resented being forced to go to church.
Was there ever an issue at home, or did you simply not even say anything?
I eventually kind of stopped going.
No, but as a child, did you ever say no?
No.
So it's not only lack of freedom and time, it's also inability to speak your voice to say no.
Right.
Does that register more than freedom and time?
Not here, no.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's this, a resentment on a check, especially like a blank check against my future time. And, especially in the past, the broken windshield would have been a huge blank check. How long? Oh my God, it could take hours to figure this out. And then, there's more hours of us having to go take the car somewhere and have it, fixed and have, oh my gosh, are we going to get a loan? It's just this blank check. How many zeros are there on it? I don't know, but a lot.
Because you're weighing it against the trapped childhood situation of no freedom.
Right. I am aware of that tendency now. It is so much reduced, but it's not there.
Yeah. Maybe the right thing to do would be to give that space more time. Like you being trapped by the trappings of not being free because of the church. And then also not being able to say no.
Yeah, I'm sure that didn't help. But yeah. I mean, later in life, especially once I really came to, not like my various jobs, same thing kind of there. And that was a lot of time, right? That's, 40 plus hours a week.
Oh, think about this. If you have a trapped energy of no freedom and lack of time, how it would progress itself is you would dive into all of these situations where you're not free.
Right. And I've dove into a lot of those in my life, haven't I?
Yeah, and not being able to do anything about it. The truth is you're diving into the situation and you think you can't do anything about it because you don't even know that you can say a no, because in the past you never said anything.
Right.
And so all of your situations, like think about all the sticky situations that you got into, your even business related.
Yeah.
Were just that.
Right. And maybe now, the idea that I'm deliberately going to, be responsible for handling whatever it is, maybe that does soothe it a little bit, because now it's like, well, I'm literally talking to somebody about it.
Yeah.
Whether that's
soothe it and numbs it? Or?
No, it doesn't numb it, but like it like feels like it heals it a little bit.
Heals it?
Yeah. It's like,
because you have a voice.
Yeah, I'm actually, expressing myself to whoever the customer service representative is that doesn't happen to know what the procedures are.
Right. I mean, but you do realize, to you, that is healing, and that is like building a pathway of soothing to where you.
I can see there it is soothing. Yeah. I can see that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But to somebody else, it'll just be a normal thing. Like, oh, this happens, and
yeah, I know.
I call and I do this, and
yeah, right.
Yeah, right. For me, the trigger wouldn't have been anything that is yours. It would just be unknown of how much is it going to cost me. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But to me, money is more closely tied to unsafety than for you. Versus for you, it's time and freedom.
Yeah, right. To me, it's like we both knew that this was going to cost $0 because Kentucky law says windshields get replaced.
But will it not? Blah, blah, blah.
There's $0, and then there's how hard am I going to have to fight to make it $0?
Yeah, and with me, I don't.
Am I going to have to pay and then get reimbursed? How long is that going to take?
Yeah, and with me, I have a thing with not trusting people, right? So this is directly.
If there's anyone you can't trust, it might be the insurance company, right?
Well, I mean, there's that.
I don't mean, and I don't even mean trust them to do the right thing. I mean, trust them to not have some sort of logistical mess to follow through with it.
Oh, no, I was actually talking about, besides the insurance company, I was also talking about the dealership itself.
Oh yeah, they gotta do it right too, don't they?
Because we have had many experiences with this windshield where it's not done right.
Yeah.
I think we're 5 attempts into a windshield now. And if maybe 5. How many times did we go there trying to get the windshield, inspected the windshield, and then had to leave without any windshield?
Yeah, because the windshield there were worse than the one that we had, even though it was already defective.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So there's that. That is still a trigger for me, noticing oh, look, complete lack of control because the manufacturer can't even produce a good product for a very expensive car. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which is, to me, it's like, what the heck, right? Anyway. But yeah, but just to bring it back, I guess, all of these triggers in life are these like divine timing opportunities for you to address the exact thing that is ready to be released that you have been blind to or have not touched on thus far, right? And you can like trace it back and puncture it in the sense to where you can start to feel the pulsation that has always been there, but you have not been addressing, of that density, right?
Mm-hmm.
And as you practice it, if you don't pause and go, what are all of the little things that it's hitting? Okay, like in your case, freedom and time. In my case, money. In your case, control. In your case, responsibility. In my case, the unknown, the trust, the unsafety. Right deep down, all of it is unsafety. Then that is another opportunity we wouldn't have had utilized to revert back and see the deep trappings of something that is solely there out of the flow of the trappings, right? Like the only reason we're experiencing this is because this is something that the density within us is bringing forward as now our experience into broken windshields.
Right.
But that is the divine timing in a sense that I would say, to me, this is a positive thing, that you're ready to give this particular aspect of the trapping a look.
Right. No, it's like, it's a little conflicting because it's like, would I ever want a broken windshield? No. But at the same time, I'm thankful for the broken windshield because of A, all the feeling I had done up before this, and then B, the additional exploration that we just did on it. Yeah. I'm like, wow, this is a lot, around this random event that, came into our lives just to help us explore this, right?
Yeah. But on the larger, that is what I want to say what divine timing actually is you're drawing these open opportunities into yourself to have this space to turn around and actually look at the shadow that causes the creation of this experience. Mm-hmm. And that experience post the outlook of the shadow, like let's say if you ever get to the point where freedom and time and not being able to speak is no longer your trigger, and unsafety and mistrust and lack of control is no longer my trigger, it wouldn't even matter if this experience comes in or doesn't come in.
It's just another thing in the day.
Yeah.
It's just not even a thing.
Yeah. But because we have an influx regarding the trappings that this event pokes, it actually creates a human experience of explorations where we can unravel more of the seeking, right? The seeking is to see this, to recognize where it's hitting, the density, like I can feel the density that it's hitting, and give it space. Not push it away and go, oh, look, I have the trapping of this and this and that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's weird. It's so weird to be triggered and not see it as a bad thing, and be triggered and not brush it off and dive into solution without observation of where it's going.
I've really tried to not solve problems as they come up, because that's just all I've done my whole life is, I can think myself into at least some form of peace. Usually I can flowchart out how things are going to go. Well, if it goes this, then we're done. If it goes this way, then okay, flowchart out, conversations and phone calls and whatever in my mind, sometimes on paper.
To soothe the way.
And that will soothe it away. That will make me feel better. That will make you feel like I've got a plan. I know exactly what I'm going to do. Okay. Now that blank check against my future is at least reduced, and I know roughly how many zeros are on that check. In the end, I can pretty much wing a phone call I don't need to pre-plan out, a phone call to the insurance company to figure out what is your procedure for me fixing this glass.
Yeah, but I think in your case, because you feel like you don't have a voice.
Right. I want to know what I'm going to say in advance so that because I have this fear that I'm going to fumble over myself and not be able to express myself, word my question coherently. It doesn't logically make sense, but that is kind of like this. Yeah, this fear that I need to know what I'm going to say in advance
to remediate more unsafety.
Yes, get more control. That makes me feel more safe. Right. I mean, I used to literally plan out conversations completely, flowchart it before I would call, and I was like, yeah, turns out I'm relatively high functioning dude. I can just do that on the fly as I call. I don't need to think about it twice.
Yeah, but I think it is a product of being raised in the narcissistic, like gaslighting behavior.
I think so, because I need to. Yeah, no, it absolutely is, because I've always felt like I need to know what I'm going to say, and then depending on what they say, I may need a rebuttal to that. I need to be able to No,
because even the first thing you would say wouldn't even be received, because if you were raised being gaslit, right? Then like, do you know what I mean? Like your first statement out of their mouth is not even true. And then you have to justify why your first statement is true.
Right. No, because I've always had that like lingering feeling that like I need to justify like everything. I need to like justify
feeling
myself.
The way I feel. Yeah. You need to justify feeling the way you feel.
Which is nobody should have to do that. But I've always felt like I do. Like everything I do, everything I say, everything I think, needs to be overly justified. When in reality, yes, no, or that, there you go. That's a full sentence.
Yeah, but yes and no is a full sentence. If in the past we've had opportunities where you would say yes or no and it was received and that was enough. But like with you, yes and no, like, right, this whole thing about freedom is that.
Yeah.
You wanting to say yes or no wasn't even an option.
Right. It has to be yes because,
but
or no,
there's no
because. And it's not because I feel this way. I need like an actual legitimate reason, as if the feelings are not legitimate enough. Yeah. No, that's yes, that is my experience.
Yeah, but I just remembered an example. I remember somebody, this was a story, but like there's a kid who was going to ask their parent like to do something, right? And the only way the parent would let them possibly do that in their mind is if they justified some sort of reasonable reason behind this action, as opposed to, I just want to do this. Do you know what I mean? Like there needed to be a sales pitch of why, other than just, I want to, I'm asking to do this. And so I think there's this disconnect if you're raised in some sort of way where just saying to your parent, or hey, a whole bunch of friends are getting together over there and I just want to join them for, I don't know, ice cream or whatever, was not enough. Like just like, I just want to join them. And then you being yourself, which is that's just you being yourself. I just want to join them, period. There doesn't have to be a why.
Yeah.
If you had to come up with why you had to join them, and in this case, why to where it was relevant to your futurement of a human being better than what you are right now.
Maybe we're going to study or, right.
Do you see what I mean? Like, no, we just having.
Yeah, we know people who would not be allowed to go to the most benign social things.
But it's because them having an opinion for themselves of just because I want to is not enough.
Yeah.
But that breeds you don't have an identity.
Right.
You don't have a voice. And
what you want doesn't matter.
What you want doesn't matter. So in order for you to even have a voice, you have to like create a story that is bigger than life itself to justify something that has nothing actually to do with the simple fact because I want to.
Right. I mean, I find myself doing that like with things that I may want to buy. I'm like, oh, well, you know, I'm not going to buy that now. I'll wait until, I don't even know. I'll wait until, you know, there's such a sale. Like, I'm like, I wanted whatever iPhone I have now, however old it was. I'm like, I'm not going to get a new phone until I sell this website. And I'm sure I waited until that. I'm torn on that, on some sort of delayed gratification thing, because I can see it as a pro and as a con. But I do
There's
see
delayed gratification. What? How's it a pro? What?
In as much as like, if I just wanted a whole bunch of stuff, then I could, you know, blow all of our money on pointless stuff just because I want it without.
But you wanting a whole bunch of stuff, chances are, is there because the stuff is there a solution to the unsafety of a lack of abundance.
I don't want a whole bunch of stuff.
Right,
in general.
If somebody wants
when there is
stuff, then they're just trying to numb something with buying.
Right.
Like your mother's stuff.
Yeah, that was clearly to numb something out of not feeling
instead of alcoholism
enough.
Or drugs or
shopaholism.
running is shopaholism.
Yeah.
Right.
So you're right. So there is somewhere in the middle where if you want it, you can have it, you can get it, you can go to the party. And
with your case, though, maybe recognize this: the stuff is not the thing itself; is the dream of what it would allow you to accomplish. Because currently, you feel like you're not accomplishing X. So maybe not the phone so much, but camera things. You tend to do that with like, if I have this amazing camera, then I'll be able to record video and blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
And then like I will be an amazing videographer, producer person.
No, yeah.
And then therefore my identity is tied to that.
I totally saw myself doing that. And I really did that with cameras. And
the camera was an excuse of why I'm not what I want to be.
Right. And while it is true that there are things that I was unable to do before the camera and can do after the camera, while that is true, there was this identity component to that.
Yeah, but the truth is, this is not to be mean because it's completely irrelevant actually in the long run. You having the camera and shooting all the footage ends up being, I don't actually want to do that. Do you see what I mean? When you get the camera and you get the footage and you want to produce some video, when you actually sit down to it, you don't get satisfaction out of it because you got the camera and you shot the footage for the wrong reason.
Right. Sometimes it does. Yeah. That's true.
But recognition and what you were trying to get out of that purpose.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't kosher to start with.
Yeah.
Do you see what I mean? So in the long run, yes, you can get the camera and you know, like obviously we're using the camera and regardless of this camera or not this camera, you and I are exploring the depth of the pain body related to it.
Yeah.
But there's these hidden little things that you think will solve all of your problems.
Yeah, right.
But because deep down, that hidden thing is there as, again, to bring you back to the divine timing, is divine timing's way of showing you that the superficial life of numbing or of not seeing the things doesn't work. And only going within is that opportunity. You getting the camera and you're not getting the satisfaction you wanted is once again an opportunity. Why do I not feel fulfilled? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Why is that nagging still there?
Right. No, I have recognized that, I like technology. I like computers and cameras and all that stuff. And, while will get excited about whatever the fancy new thing is. It is so hard. I find it difficult. I'm like, oh my gosh, when I have this, things will be different. But it never is. It's like, okay, yes, it encodes videos faster. Or, okay, now it's 6K. And okay, whatever. The new phone has, I don't know, a better camera, whatever. It's not, I don't know that there's ever been something that we've bought that has been absolutely mind-shattering, life-altering type thing. It is a better version of whatever you had before. Sure, maybe it's worth the cost. Maybe it's not. Irrelevant, but it isn't. Projecting myself now. How will I feel after I get that next computer, camera, phone, whatever? I always think it's going to be much more than it really is.
Well,
because
you're not wanting it for the right reason.
Right. Whereas now, I'm like, okay, would I want a new computer, all things being equal? Sure. It'll be faster. It'll, faster's better. It takes a long time to encode videos. But it's not, the charge behind it isn't there.
I think...
Do I want a new phone? Yeah, that lens is scratched up and the screen's kind of crappy. But I have no delusions that this is going to be a life-altering thing. It'll be a slightly nicer version of what I have. In the past, I absolutely would.
Yeah.
The new computer was the end-all, be-all of my ultimate happiness. The new camera was oh my gosh, once I have this camera, once I have this lens, once I have this phone, once I have this computer.
I will be something.
I will be something. I will be happy. Now nothing's holding me back. And from creating something, from being who I want to be. I don't know exactly.
Well,
being who I want to be maybe is the closest thing.
And who is that?
Who is that? I still don't even know who I want to be.
No, it's not actually. Nobody knows who they want to be. But this is the pain body. Who you want to be based on this pain body. This is the story of this pain body.
Right.
Who you want to be? Who?
Free, maybe. Because without it, I'm not free. Without it, I've got this constraint of a slow computer or a junky camera or whatever.
Free to do what?
Free to, like in that case, free to make videos. I know that's a surface level thing, though.
Because when you make videos,
because that's what I want to do. And I can't otherwise.
You can make videos.
Right.
So you're not free.
Right.
And if you're not free to make, and if you were to be free to make videos, you would be...
I would be doing more of what I want to do. Something that is more aligned with what I want to do.
Okay. And then that is...
That is me being more myself instead of being... like having that future check for things that I don't want to. It's freedom. It's freedom.
Yeah, but
it's freedom and control. Because when I have that future camera or future computer, then I will have the freedom and control, and it won't have been, taken away from me or somehow otherwise spent, because that's unsafe.
So it's freedom to do what you want.
Right. Now, I, of course, realize that isn't how it works, but yeah.
That's where it goes.
That's where the future...
Do you feel the charge? If that's
yeah,
where
that's
it
what it
goes?
is. It's that it gives me the future freedom. Whether or not I do it, whether or not it actually enables it, irrelevant.
So you don't feel free right now?
I didn't then.
Yeah, but no, but in a scenario where you don't have something,
right,
and you will have something, that's not free.
Right. Like, in as much as like...
And if not free, then what?
That means that like I don't control my own destiny.
And then when you don't control your destiny, then what happens?
That feels wildly unsafe. It feels wildly unsafe to have someone or something else controlling even a small part of my, I say destiny, my future, right? My
So-
future time, my future commitments.
And then if you had to like close your eyes and go, then who's controlling my destiny?
It's not me.
Yeah, but
I don't know.
not you. And who are you fighting against when it's not you?
Like it is super nebulous. I mean, there are times when I could go, oh, it's the boss. Oh, it's the insurance company. But it's just, it feels like it's the universe. It's like the whole universe is conspiring against me in some completely blown out of proportion way that I know makes no logical sense, but that is how it feels. It feels super nebulous, but nebulous always blows up into a bigger than life bad thing. Yeah. But that thing, when I get that thing, that'll fix it all. That's for sure.
Freedom.
It will give, yes, it will 100% fix it. Of course, it comes and then it doesn't. But then that's because I don't have that next thing. That's what I need. Yeah. Now this is blindingly obvious. And, while I may get excited about the new thing, I have no delusion it's going to alter my life in any way other than it will maybe do something a little bit faster or do something a little bit better. And while that's nice and that's appreciated, it's not, there's no freedom there other than maybe like, oh, well, if it can render video twice as fast, then maybe there's some time that it frees up.
Yeah, I think anytime, this is just kind of like a generalized statement, and I don't know, but just to summarize this portion of it, if you start something because this is going to give me freedom, I don't think it's ever an aware thought, a healthy aware thought.
I think you're right.
If you're already doing something and you're like, oh, hey, this thing, I have this thing, but there's like a new model and it will help me render sound better, render video better. And so I'll just buy this software, this tool, or this whatever. Then you're not functioning out of a pain body.
Right.
You're just buying another tool for your existing setup.
That's called being a professional.
Yeah.
It's like, do you have the tools that you need? Yes, no. Oh, this one's better. This one's faster. Oh, okay. It becomes down to a rational business decision without the emotion of, oh, if only I had that, then I would be complete. Then I could be free. Yes, absolutely.
So whenever you're diving into a new project and this project or new hobby, and this hobby is going to be the thing that saves your life.
Yeah. A lot of identity wrapped around in it. Yeah.
This is never a solution towards anything other than you feel unsafe at the core. And then in your case, right, like this is how it looks like to go, I feel unsafe, but with the flavor of what? And in your case, last 30, 20 minutes was the discussion of, oh, it's just unsafe.
It's unsafe. Right.
Unsafe because I'm not free. Unsafe because I don't have a voice. Unsafe because I don't have the tools. Unsafe because I feel like somebody else is controlling my destiny.
Yeah.
Right. But all of that is just a way for you to explore the density of unsafety through the flavor of I'm not free.
Yeah.
But nothing at all will ever be a solution to you not feeling free. Quite literally, at all. You can be the most free person in the world and you will still feel trapped.
Right.
This is the Citizen Kane, type of.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Right? We just watched Citizen Kane. This is that. You're just the richest man in the world, the most abundant man in the world. Like there's zero stopping of you.
And yet
you're not free. But because that freedom came from the childhood trauma of being trapped.
Right.
And the loss of safety that he felt when he was with his mother sledding on the hill.
Yep.
Right. It's kind of like Citizen Kane's most beautiful representation of that. But I don't know how many people actually dive into how beautiful that nuanced message is. That like you can have everything given to you. There's no limitations whatsoever, right? With you, the camera could be it, or the tripod could be it, or the lights could be it. With him, no limit, right? Like here's a story where there's no limit.
Right.
You have everything, like quite literally, right? Like he was the richest man in the world, like, or the fourth richest man.
Sixth, yeah.
Sixth, yeah. But it was based on the true story. But yet at the end, you're just trapped and you're not free.
Yeah.
And everything is expression of that trapping.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But if you don't explore it, if you don't give it space, if you don't give it space of like, or look, this freedom is a thing. And I didn't even know it was a thing, but it's a thing. And how many of my actions and beliefs and structures flow out of the thing where I think the time is limited and I'm not free.
Yeah. Right.
Right. But, going back to, I think my definition of divine timing is this, is that each time the universe will bring you what you can handle and what you can unravel and what you can be held responsible for and draw awareness to. And that's the successful version of seeking, as opposed to seeking something for the pointless reason of unsafety.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
If you're seeking something, it's because you feel unsafe. But if you just sit and let the universe bring things to you, that is the divine timing that allows you to unravel things at the right time.
Because you get what you need when you need it.
Yeah.
It just comes.
Yeah. So maybe a slightly different take on divine timing.
But it's the one that you needed to hear at the time.
At the time, yeah. Sounds good.
Thanks
for listening.